This video is a very quick summary of all of the songs and dances for my rebirth ceremony. And I'm going to skip all of the symbolism, so watch the other videos in the playlist for that. So song/dance number 1, it represents the first stage, the primordial stage of the human journey. This is when humanity is umbilically connected to Mother Earth. This is before thought, before language, before even consciousness really exists. This is when life and death are close together, and many, you could say, complex, nuanced, and sometimes opposing emotions exist together. There aren't any real choreographed moves for this dance. Just immerse yourself into the music, and as thoughts and language naturally float up into your conscious mind, gently acknowledge them and push them away and immerse yourself back into the moment. So this is like any sort of meditation or mindfulness practice. The movements can be motivated from anything. I might use movements of the robins that represent life, and movements from my grandmother that represent, the stage before death. And you can be, sitting in a chair. I'll probably be on the ground in the fetal position. And this will be about a 5-minute long journey. Song/dance 2 is the next stage of the human journey. This is when humanity is still synchronized to the heartbeat of Mother Earth, but it begins to nucleate its identity. This song has a lot of meaning and symbolism, and watch my other videos for an explanation. For the dance, I recommend doing whatever feels natural. Don't be constrained to what I describe, just be free. Humanity squats to honor the earth, and as it rises, humanity consumes the earth that it has honored. Then humanity awakens the third eye, which represents seeing beyond the world of illusions. With this new vision, humanity looks around, and everything that we once took for granted looks beautiful. We look at the sky, peering into the universe, and here I do a pose called Skywalker, which is taken from Cho, which is described in Susan's presentation. As we look at the sky into the depth of the universe, we see these cycles of the sun and the moon. And we see these cycles of energy, which is represented by Natraj. Within the cycles of energy, there is birth. And within the cycles of energy, there is death, represented by the ashes of cremation. These ashes, when placed on the skin, represent the impermanence of life. These cycles are also expressed through my hair ceremony, and water flows through my hair before I cut it. As the water falls upon the earth, it fertilizes our field of dreams from which our new destiny is born. But with everything, we shouldn't grow attached, as there is impermanence in everything. We pay respect to the animalistic portion of the human identity. We pay respect to the consciousness portion of the human identity through the nasty pose. We are human. In the transition from song 2 into song 3, I take the yucca rope that I made, which was my umbilical cord in song 1 and my tail in song 2, and I tear it off, representing the birth of the human individuality. This is both beautiful because it is the start of a new journey, and sad because it distances us from the rest of the living world. The noise represents how our language and thoughts obscure the heartbeat of the earth. And now song 3, which is what this is that humanity's identity has bloomed and its individuality has formed. But maybe in the process it has separated us from the rest of the living world. Basically, the one rule is that every time you hear D, you just move your feet. So let me give you an example. Chickadee, chickadee, chickadee. Now what I can also do is add more D's to it, just like the bird does. So for example, chickadee dee, chickadee dee. And usually what I do is for the single chickadee, I do both legs. And for multiple D's, I just do different, legs. And that's just something I do. You're welcome to do it too. Now, the next thing is that everything is in cycles of 3, because my hair cycles are every 3 years I shave everything off. And what happens is that you have 3 iterations of everything. So for example, the song starts off with just single chickadees, and you do that 3 times. Chickadee, chickadee, chickadee. And then you transition to 2 Ds, and you do that 3 times. Chickadee dee, chickadee dee, chickadee dee. And then you transition to 3 Ds, and you do it 3 times, that 3 iteration. Chickadee dee dee, chickadee dee dee, chickadee dee dee. And then the tempo increases, and towards the end of the song, where the tempo is the fastest, I actually throw in 4 Ds. So it's chickadee dee dee dee, chickadee dee dee dee, chickadee dee dee dee. Before I talk about song 4, I'll talk about the song/dance for the transition from song 3 to song 4. Now for the dance portion of this, because it's a very quick thing, all you're doing is you're facing the spirit phallus, which I'll describe in a second. And you don't really do much, you're just waiting. And it's sort of like foreplay, you wait and building up the anticipation for the main event, which is the impregnation portion. Song 4, it's about humanity becoming impregnated with technology. And as you just saw, basically what we're going to do is we're going to take that physical log, the spirit phallus, and we're going to erect it to represent the impregnation. And of course, there's a virtual component too, which will come later. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the horse stance and basically just go ki, ki, as the spirit phallus is being erected. Okay, so here's the start of the music, and I'll probably say something like, assume possession! I'll be like, ready? And then I'll be like, ki! Ki! Now I'm going to describe the end of the ceremony. So after you become impregnated, or humanity becomes impregnated with technology, then comes a time to give birth to that augmented human. And so what we're going to do is, those of us that are comfortable, and hopefully it'll be all of us, we are going to all line up in a circle. And at the center will be the embryo, which is represented by this mannequin. And we will lie down and sort of like spread our legs as if we're going to give birth. And then my mom will lead us through the birthing process. She'll say something like breathe and push and breathe. And there'll be live music. So those of you that don't want to do this can be banging on drums and stuff to my mother's cadence. And the live music, Gabe is going to be playing saxophone. And Gabe does amazing educational stuff too, so I'll put his website on in the link and check it out. He's doing some great stuff. Okay, and then after that, you'll hear a baby crying, and that's the cue for everything to go silent. And then Kimberly is going to lead the next section. And this was actually her idea, and it's a really great idea, which is that in the birthing section, we, the people, become the actual newborn infant, this newborn augmented human. And so what she's going to do is lead us through a meditation where she awakens each of our senses as if we were newborn babies, exploring the world for the very first time. And as she's doing that, Sid will be playing some impromptu guitar music in the background. I should also say, Kimberly does some really amazing work with yoga, and she does yoga for children too. So I'll put the link and check out the stuff that she's doing. It's really great stuff. So once she is done, we'll take the two halves of this mannequin. One half represents technology, the other half represents humanity. We'll balance it because these two aspects need to be balanced, and put them together to create this augmented human creature. Now the thing is, the augmented human, doesn't have a soul yet. So where does the soul come for this augmented human? Well, it comes from the virtual world. And just to, and so the virtual world, Dave Frankel and I created a video game, and I'll put a link for his portfolio. You should check out the stuff that he does. It's amazing. And also play the video game. So just to remind you, there's a spirit phallus, that we erected, and it led to impregnation. And it led to impregnation through the virtual vagina, which lives in the virtual world. So what I'm going to do is we'll do a playthrough of the video game, and we'll visit the virtual vagina, and from there will be born the soul of Symbiosis Null, which will be shot up and will come into the real world. And right when we do that, there's this butterfly that the woodworking and beadworking group has created, and we'll sort of move that from the computer screen into the mannequin, the augmented human, to represent that the augmented human has now inherited this soul, and become infected with it. So that happens. And then at the absolute end, once everything is done for celebration, we'll play Sid's song, and he composed a song for human augmentation for the last event that I did. And he's a great musician, so I'll put his link and check out the SoundCloud. And as we listen to his music, we can chill, relax. I'll have some sparklers that Lauren gave us, which is really awesome, and we'll sort of do that. And that should be the end of the event.